Welcome to Generation Digital Workforce, the podcast that's here to explore the role of robotic process automation and other digital technologies.
What are some of the challenges maybe that you see, with it, implementing this? Because I think of infrastructure, I think of all the security, pushback that you get because security guys know everything, and, or governance and control. A lot of that can be muted by not having the right executive sponsorship. So I don't know, where are you seeing a lot of things holding organizations up in ROM?
Well, I mean, just back to the point about the solution engineering and pipeline prioritization, I think that before you even get into those issues, what we're finding is the sale for robotics is so easy if you actually come with a pipeline, right? And people are looking to, pilot something and then, move their way through the pilot process and then make a broader decision. But, look, the technology is proven. You're not proving anything now if you're the 15th client in the industry using this technology. It works, right? Everybody should understand that. What we're having success with is actually going in and just looking at automation opportunities in general. And generally, when we find like a pipeline of opportunities, what underpins all of these things is a need for enabling technology like robotics that integrate systems together. So I think it's like chicken before the egg, where they start with the pilot and they move to prioritization. It should be start with the opportunities, right, and then move to the purchase, then move to the pilot. And then, after that, to your point, we see a lot of people underinvesting in that aspect of control and infrastructure, right? And there's a lot of things that actually have to happen. You could do it on your own with like 5 bots. But what happens when you get past 5 or 10 bots, right? Things like caching issues start to come into play. Things like, you might be auditing every field underneath the sun because it was just easy to set up. But that, in a high volume, high transaction process, you might be, churning through your memory, your space on the servers, right? And then all of a sudden you have bot issues. Well, with experience, those things are very easily kind of taken care of and mitigated. Whereas, why make this stuff up again when others have kind of come before you and solved those problems and really have best practices from infrastructure and control perspective? And if you do it right, you're going to set yourself up for that 100-bot infrastructure, that 1,000-bot infrastructure, right? And the concept I always say is, why have infrastructure be the thing that prevents you from scaling, right? That's probably the thing you want to make sure you have a sound investment in early on, so that you can take this robotics workforce to where it should be in your company.
No, I totally agree. And on my podcast with Dina a few weeks ago, I said the same thing. I said that, I would argue that, why would any organization make a decision to do this if they didn't understand their automation potential? Why would you invest any effort into, aligning strategy and pouring resources to develop a brand new capability that's going to need unique controls that are different from things you've done previously? And it's going to, kind of marry IT and business together to some extent. So, I totally agree. And I think it's probably one of the number one areas that, we probably hear from customers even after they feel like they've done an initial good process pipeline build and review. They come back and they say, well, we just can't find any more processes, and I really find out is that they just didn't look for those processes because they're there. And, it's not always the case, but I think what are some of the things that clients who say, I don't even know where to start. How do I start with this? What are ways for them to, identify that automation potential so that they can make a strategic decision for this? Because it seems like it's a bottleneck for a lot of companies.
Your North Star, your endpoint, so that you are all marching toward the same direction before you just say, hey, let's just throw a couple $1,000s at the wall and see if this robotics thing works, right? That doesn't really work out for too many clients. You have to know why you're getting involved. You have to have buy-in from the business, right, and the technology team. And most of the time, if you have a pipeline of opportunities, that internal sale, because it's really more of an internal sales process, that internal sale becomes so much easier. And really, that just comes with experience. Like, if you don't know what like a technology like RPA or Blue Prism can do, if you look at a process, you're not going to be able to identify it, right? Which is why I think, for that component of your operating model, experience, like training wheels, to teach you what good looks like and to go through that first implementation, right? And then, get everybody nodding in the same direction and say, yes, it's feasible with RPA, and yes, it's feasible from a business perspective, meaning it has financial value to it, we should do it. one of the things I say with this new technology is, just because you can automate something doesn't mean you should. And just because you can doesn't mean you should kind of applies here. So paying attention to saying no to opportunities is just as important as finding the big boys, right? Now, you and I talk about it all the time, right? If you wind up just implementing everything for the sake of the fact that you have this RPA software in-house, and you're implementing, 10 minutes of Sally's job a day, right? But it takes a developer 3 months to do. It's probably not the right opportunity. But early on, you're not skilled enough to identify that issue in your pipeline, right? On the other side of it, do you really know when you walk through an operational process that you can take 4 pieces out of an end-to-end workflow and put a bot in place and save 90% of that end-to-end workflow for simple, implementable, and feasible automation opportunities? A lot of people struggle with that as well. So experience is definitely a big part in the opportunity identification.